I'm reading from the book, The Greatest Lie on Earth, Proof That Our World is Not a Moving Globe, by Edward Hendry. Chapter 10, Simple Proof That Heliocentrism is Impossible. For most people, it is a new concept to have the sun within the plane of the earth and much smaller than the earth. Before discussing the scientific proof for that, let us examine the standard theory of the heliocentric model. Under the heliocentric theory, the earth orbits the sun once every 365.25 days. Since we only have a 365-day calendar, every 4 years, 4 times 0.25 equals 1 day, we have a leap year, and add a 29th day to February to make up that one missing day. In those 365.25 days, the Earth is supposed to orbit a full 360 degrees around the sun. At the same time the Earth is orbiting the sun, it is completing one 360-degree rotation every 24 hours. Under the heliocentric model, as the Earth travels around the sun, each day the Earth will be a little less than 1 degree further in its orbit from the previous day. That means that every 6 months the Earth will be 180 degrees in its orbit around the sun and be opposite the sun from where it was 6 months earlier. There is a problem with this model. Let us assume that we begin our observation of the sun at 12 noon in New York on September 22nd. Each solar day is precisely 24 hours in length. According to the heliocentric model, every 24-hour day, the Earth is supposed to do an exact 360-degree spin on its axis and end up at the same place. At the same time, each day the Earth has traveled a little less than 1 degree of the 360-degree orbit around the sun. That means that after 6 months, 12 noon in New York will arrive during the middle of the dark night on March 21st. To recap, 12 noon arrives in the middle of the day in New York on our start day on September 22nd. The heliocentric theory requires the Earth to be at the opposite side of the sun 6 months later. Consequently, New York will be on the dark side of the Earth, facing away from the sun, at 12 noon on March 21st. In New York, therefore, on March 21st, 12 noon should arrive during the middle of the night. Under the heliocentric model, this occurrence should happen year in and year out, every year. We know, however, that does not happen, which means that the heliocentric model is wrong. According to our 365-day calendar, we need a leap year once every 4 years to make up for a missing day. That means that after 6 months, the Earth is supposed to have missed 1/8 day of its orbit around the sun. However, that does not change the fact that under the heliocentric model, 12 noon in New York will progressively move a little less than 1 degree each day until it arrives during the middle of the dark night opposite the sun after 6 months. That is because each solar day is precisely 24 hours in length, which under the heliocentric model requires the Earth to rotate exactly 360 degrees on its axis in those 24 hours. The high priests of heliocentricity have perceived the problem with their model and adjusted it to accommodate its error. What did they do? They added 0.986 degrees to the 360-degree rotation of the Earth to come up with the Earth spinning 360.986 degrees each day. Where did they get the 0.986 degrees? They simply made it up by dividing the 360 degree of orbit by 365.25 days in the year to come up with 0.986 degrees. With this little mathematical adjustment, their problem is seemingly solved. Because they claim the Earth rotates 360.986 degrees in 24 hours, they calculated that the period of time for the Earth to rotate 360 degrees is 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.1 seconds. They call this shorter day a sidereal day. A sidereal day is supposed to be based upon the length of time which passes between the position of the stars in the night sky. A sidereal day is irrelevant to the movement of the sun. Below is a diagram from Cornell University Department of Astronomy illustrating the contrived 360.986 degree rotation each day. The first problem with the 360.986 degree solution is that it is contrary to the orthodoxy of the heliocentric model, which presents a precise 360 degree rotation of the Earth each 24-hour solar day. The reason that the standard heliocentric model requires a 360 degree rotation in 24 hours is that it comports with the actual movement of the sun over the Earth. The 360 degree path of the sun over the Earth every 24 hours is observable and measurable. The Annenberg Foundation's Teacher Resource Center, which is affiliated with Colorado State University, has a model of the globular spinning Earth and explains that, quote, each day the Earth rotates once on its axis, which equals 360 degrees, close quote. The University of California at Berkeley's online self-study guide states that the Earth spins 360 degrees every 24 hours. Quote, full turn equals 360 degrees, close quote. The University of Chicago Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics states that the Earth rotates 360 degrees, quote, once every 24 hours, close quote. Professor of Astronomy Courtney Seligman, who has taught college astronomy for 39 years, states that, quote, to calculate how long it takes for the Earth to rotate through an angle of 1 degree, we divide the length of the day, 24 hours, or 1,440 minutes, by the 360 degrees it turns through during that rotation, obtaining a rotational speed of 4 minutes per degree, close quote. Professor Seligman created a diagram of the movement of the Earth around the Sun. He gave the following explanation of the diagram. Quote, "In the diagram below, the 4 blue dots on the right represent the position of the planet at 4 times, separated from each other by 1/3 of a rotation period. The number of rotations that the planet has made is indicated by the numbers to the right of each dot. The white dot shows how the position of a specific place on the planet changes as the planet rotates to the east, counterclockwise in this diagram, and the large yellow dot on the far left represents the position of the sun. The sizes of the sun and planet and the angle that the planet moves through during one rotation have been exaggerated to make it easier to see what is happening. The movement of a planet during one rotation. The planet's movement around the sun causes the sun to appear to move around the sky. Each degree that the planet moves around the sun causes the sun to appear to move a degree around the planet." Professor Seligman illustrates the standard model of heliocentricity with the movement of the Earth around the sun as it rotates on its axis 360 degrees each 24-hour day. His diagram confirms this author's diagram presented at the beginning of the chapter as the standard heliocentric construct. The depiction of the heliocentric orbit of the Earth at the beginning of this chapter was from Penn State University, John A. Dutton E-Education Institute, and it is the standard heliocentric model accepted by virtually all scientists today. The diagram was annotated by this author with the captions pointing out where 12 noon in New York would be at each quarter of the Earth's yearly orbit. Other than the annotations, the diagram appears as Penn State depicted it. Professor Seligman has taught college astronomy for 39 years and has a full and complete understanding of heliocentrism. His diagram illustrates that the heliocentric model does not comport with reality. If Professor Seligman's diagram was expanded to encompass a 180-degree travel of the Earth around the sun, we would find that 12 noon would arrive in the middle of the night after 6 months' time, just as depicted in the diagram at the beginning of this chapter. We know that, in fact, every day, 12 noon arrives in the middle of the day in New York. There has never been a day in the history of New York ever when 12 noon was in the dark of the night. That simple fact proves that the heliocentric model is wrong. Professor Seligman and the many astronomers like him are wrong that the Earth orbits the sun. They are correct, however, about the relationship between the sun and the Earth being one of 360 degrees and 24 hours. The sun, in fact, does make a 360-degree circuit over the flat Earth once every 24 hours. The contrivance of other astronomers of the Earth spinning 360.986 degrees every 24 hours is provably wrong. It is refuted by the fact that the sun can be measured to move in a 360-degree path over the Earth every 24 hours. All celestial navigation is based upon that truth. Celestial navigation is based upon the confirmable fact that the sun moves 15 degrees each hour, 360 degrees divided by 24 hours equals 15 degrees. Each hour can in turn be broken down to minutes per degrees by simply taking 60 minutes divided by 15 degrees equals 4 minutes per degree. James I. Salmons explains the basic concepts of celestial navigation. As with most people, he has been conditioned to believe that it is a rotating Earth that causes the movement of the sun in its path. However, he is absolutely correct about the sun and the Earth having a relationship of 360 degrees in 24 hours. Indeed, that is the basic starting point for all celestial navigation. Quote, "Just as we saw in finding latitude, finding longitude is easy enough when we've learned 3 basic ideas. The first of these ideas is the relationship between time and the rotation of the Earth. It takes an average time of 24 hours for the Earth to rotate 360 degrees so that a spot on its surface will move from under the sun and then just return to its under the sun starting position. In 12 hours, the Earth will turn half around. In 6 hours, a quarter. If you divide the number of degrees in a circle by the number of hours in a day, we find that the Earth turns 15 degrees each hour. 360 degrees divided by 24 hours equals 15 degrees per hour. We can take this a step further and state that the Earth turns 1 degree in 4 minutes. 1 hour equals 60 minutes divided by 15 degrees equals 4 minutes per degree. Mariners have been using celestial navigation for hundreds of years to mark an accurate course. It is based upon the 360-degree movement of the sun over the Earth in 24 hours. Of course, modern mariners have been conditioned to believe that it is the globular Earth that is spinning. Mariners, however, have often found that their charts, based upon a globular Earth, were inaccurate, particularly in the southern latitudes, when they compared their dead reckoning using their charts with their more accurate celestial navigation. The fact that celestial navigation is based upon the sun's movement of 360 degrees in 24 hours, and that it actually works, impeaches the sidereal day construct that postulates a 360.986 degree spin of the Earth in 24 hours. Sidereal literally means, quote, relating to or expressed in relationship to stars or other constellations, close quote. A sidereal day is a measure of the movement of the stars. It is pure and simple deception to apply calculations for the movement of the stars to the movement of the sun. Never has there been celestial navigation involving the sun traveling 360.986 degrees in 24 hours. That proves that the added 0.986 degrees is wrong. It is a contrivance of the heliocentric priesthood. It is a superstitious belief that was conjured up in order to explain the otherwise impossible heliocentric model. The added 0.986 degrees only has validity because the scientists say so. Their 360.986 degrees contrivance is impeached by the observable reality that the sun travels a precise 360-degree circuit over the Earth once every 24 hours. That verifiable fact means that the heliocentric model would require high noon to move each day and ultimately arrive at midnight once every 6 months. The fact that such an occurrence does not happen proves the heliocentric model is a lie. Max Planck was one of the most noted scientists of the last century. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918. He revealed the cult-like belief system in the scientific community. He stated that, quote, "Anybody who has been seriously engaged in scientific work of any kind realizes that over the entrance to the gates of the Temple of Science are written the words, 'Ye must have faith.' It is a quality which the scientist cannot dispense with." Close quote. So-called, quote, "scientists," close quote, today are more akin to witch doctors who have mesmerized the superstitious tribe to believe their booga, booga nonsense.